There's a new emerging pathogenic fungus spreading rapidly worldwide, and all strains are extremely resistant to one or more classes of antifungal medications. It's called Candida auris. According to the CDC, 1 in 3 patients with invasive Candida auris die. It mostly affects people with weakened immune systems, and it's prevalent in healthcare facilities. Now, something to note with Candida auris, just like in The Last of Us, when the scientist says,
what if, for instance, the world were to get slightly warmer
and fungi could survive in it, they could wipe out humans. Well, the same thing is true for real life. So mammals are very resistant to invasive fungal disease. It's something that's special about us. One reason why is because of our high basal temperature, and this is just our resting body temperature. And it creates a barrier called a thermal restriction zone, which means our temperature is inhospitable to certain microbes and such. That's why when we get sick and have a fever, our doctors tell us don't start pounding Tylenol to lower your body temperature because you're feeling bad, because you want to raise your body temperature. You want your body temperature to be high so it can fight off these diseases. So fungi have what is a maximum tolerated temperature. And basically the maximum tolerated temperature of fungi is lower than the human body temperature. It's lower than 37 degrees Celsius. So because of that, fungi in certain diseases, they can't function and replicate outside higher than their maximum tolerated temperature. So humans and most mammals are a thermodynamically unfavorable host. However, if certain strains such as Candida auris became more thermally tolerant to where they can breach that thermal restriction zone, then the fungi can become invasive. Scientists believe that human-induced climate change has caused a lot of strains of Candida auris to become more tolerant to temperature, meaning they have actually adapted to the mammalian basal temperatures. Studies have shown that not only are they becoming more thermally tolerant, but culture analysis have shown in the lab that they're actually replicating faster at higher temperatures. So scientists have actually suggested that fungi are what caused mammals in the late Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago, to become the dominant land animal. And this is because of what we just talked about, the maximum tolerated temperature that fungi have. So when the meteor came and wiped out the dinosaurs in the late Cretaceous period, it caused fungi to thrive. And with fungi thriving means that mammals could thrive, because fungi favored the daily activities of mammals. So mammals were able to go about their days, whereas reptiles had to sort of stay low, and they had to stay small, and they couldn't get big, and they couldn't evolve over time. And if it wasn't for fungi, we would most likely have a second reptilian age. We would not be in the mammalian age. So the ground zero of Candida auris, when it was first identified ever in the world, was in 2009 from a 70-year-old female patient in a hospital in Tokyo, Japan, who came in for an ear infection. Shortly after that year, cases started to get reported in 12 more countries on 4 different continents. So in 2016, the CDC of the US wanted to see if the fungus had been transmitted to our country or not. So they issued a clinical alert and asked professionals to start reporting cases to the state, local health departments, and CDC. Shortly after they made this announcement, that year in 2016, a case had been reported from a patient who was hospitalized. But that's actually not the first case in the US. When scientists actually reviewed old microbiology records from hospitals and labs, is that the first case was in 2013. And then there was one in 2015, and then 5 in 2016. Out of those patients, only 1 had been outside the US. It was a patient who was visiting the Middle East, they got sick, and they were transferred over to a hospital in New York. Unfortunately, 4 of the 7 patients died weeks to months after infection. You can see since 2013 that cases have been rapidly rising. And an unfortunate find about Candida auris is that scientists have found that long after infection, patients still have colonies in their bodies, in some cases forever. As of 2023, there is no vaccine. One last thing I'd like to mention is that even if human-induced climate change were not a real thing, and the warming of the planet is due to just natural phenomena that happens to the planet over time, it still doesn't take away from the fact that one day fungus could make humans and mammals extinct. Just as there is a symbiotic relationship between mammal and fungi 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs died, and this relationship helped mammals live and thrive and take over the planet, it could do the opposite in the future. In our future, as global climate temperatures raise to the point where fungus can adapt to this temperature and they can live and have a maximum tolerance temperature to live in that is 37 degrees Celsius or more, which is our body temperatures, well, one day they could make us and all mammals on the planet extinct.